Naruto thanked Hiruzen. Wait, Naruto-kun, he said. He turned around and raised an eyebrow. Why are you asking for these jutsu? Shouldn't Kakashi be teaching you? No, he's teaching Sasuke, he simply said, then left. During his time outside of the village, Naruto had been getting curious of Fuinjutsu. With no means of learning it, he put it in the back of his mind. He always wondered if he could use Fuinjutsu with his stand. Ninjutsu already failed. He went to the library as there wasn't a lot, but enough for him to do the beginning levels. He smacked his forehead, realizing that it is what his father is so profound for, looking at his stomach as a reminder. The next day Naruto reappeared in the office, but there was someone else. It was a tall figure with long mane of white hair. Old man, I need to talk to you, Naruto said. What is, Naruto-kun? It should be in private, as he glanced at the man standing there. It's okay, anything I should know I'm sure he already knows. Naruto shrugged. I need the key to my dad's house. Hiruzen dropped his pipe and was coughing on the tobacco he swallowed, as the other man had his jaw dropped. Naruto, my boy, how do you know of your father? Naruto raised an eyebrow. I thought Kakashi reported this already. In a faraway mountain near the leaf, a man with one covered let out a sneeze. No, Hiruzen said. His mission reports have been rather lackluster recently. But very well. He tossed a key towards Naruto. It is on the mountain above the Hokage stone heads. He will take you, as he tilted his head toward the white hair figure. He is Jiraiya. He taught your father. Jiraiya now started dancing and spinning in a circle. That is right. I am known as Jiraiya the Great, and the handsome Frog Hermit, but title Frog Hermit is merely as a disguise. Jiraiya, a voice butted in. He already left. Jiraiya face faulted, that dem brat. I will show him the greatness of the toad gallant Jiraiya. He opened the window and jumped out. Naruto was sitting on the edge of the mountain. He was reminiscing about someone he came across in his travels. He couldn't get his mind off of her, not since he met her. It took you long enough, Naruto said. So you sensed me, Jiraiya said. You know you're not really like your parents. It's hard to believe I would be after all I have dealt with. Jiraiya didn't have anything to say to that. He turned and walked to an empty clearing as Naruto followed closely. Remember these hand signs, he said. He reeled through 5 hand signs, then a house appeared. Give me your hand, Jiraiya said. He sliced a tiny cut in his thumb. After putting pressure and allowing more blood to come out, he said, swipe your thumb over the seal on the gate and pour chakra. After doing so, it opened up. Naruto whistled as he saw the size of the house. It was not a compound like the other clans. In short, it was a mansion. It was as if you combined a clan compound into one house. Jiraiya chuckled. A beauty, isn't it? Your parents let me stay here often, usually after I was drunk. But he whispered the last part. Naruto walks in. Ignoring the hell of a yard, he continued forward. In the house he would occasionally notice some seals over the walls. He raised an eyebrow and pointed. Do you know what these are? Yeah, I helped design it. It was mostly your mother's work though. It's preservation seals. It helps something last indefinitely. In this case it means no dust will come. It should be over your fridge too. After checking out the house, he decided to go upstairs. Jiraiya had already taken a bottle of sake and sat down on the living room couch. Naruto opened a door and saw a crib laying there, with different kinds of baby toys and baby clothes in the drawer. He could only let out a dry smile. This was the only room without preservation seals. I guess they thought they would have returned, he said with a dry chuckle. He opened the next room, which also looked to be the biggest. It had a large king-sized bed, as there was a few scrolls and paint bruises all around. He picked a picture. It was one of his mom and dad, and him. He muttered out loud. He let a tear fall down, for the memory of his parents. He placed it back and walked downstairs. He was checking out the empty rooms. They had one room had the same seal as the gate outside though. He cut his thumb and wiped the blood over it and poured chakra once more. After hearing a click, he opened the door. He widened his eyes to what he saw. There were bookshelves covering each wall in the room, but scrolls covered it everywhere. A genius he may be, but he sure as hell needed to organize, Jiraiya said. After putting some scrolls on the shelves, he noticed a scroll that was all black. He picked it up and read it out loud. Flying Thunder God Jutsu, by Tobirama Senju, V2 made by Minato Senju. He was opening the scroll slowly, but Jiraiya grabbed his wrist. You're not on that level, he said. He picked a scroll and tossed it to Naruto. Start here. The bendings to Fuinjutsu, level 1 to 3. He opened the scroll and the first few words made Naruto face fault. "Hello my cute Nara-chan," Jiraiya burst out laughing. "I gave him the idea to write that," he said after settling down. Naruto tossed the flying Raijin scroll aside, deciding he would get back to it after actually understanding Fuinjutsu. Jiraiya twitched his eyebrow. "You realize shinobi nations would topple each other over for that jutsu, right? You're the one who said I am not ready to learn it." He let out a sigh. "Let me give you this at least. It's a jutsu that I believe you can make use of. It is the Shadow Clone Jutsu. It transfers the memories of your clones back to you. You have such a jutsu yet you are still so dumb, it is hard to believe it would work the way you describe it." He got a tick mark. "Do you want to see it or not?" "Why not? I have a month to spare." Jiraiya was surprised how fast he got it. It took under an hour. "There is something else I want to show you, but we can do it tomorrow," he nodded. "By the way, brat, it doesn't transfer physical prowess, so you can't have them train in taijutsu for you." "What about muscle memory?" He thought about it. "I guess it would work." Time skip 2 weeks later. Naruto had learned the summoning jutsu as well as Fuinjutsu. Jiraiya had loosened his seal as well. With the Shadow Clone Jutsu, the jutsus the third gave him did not take too long to be usable. He was jumping through the village at night to clear his head. He did this as a side activity when he had nothing else. He narrowed his eyes at something. There was a ninja clashing with a sand ninja. He dashed there and ran through some hand signs. Mist started to form. The two clashing shinobi separated. After a few seconds the mist cleared as Hayate widened his eyes at what he saw. "Naruto?" He simply nodded towards him then jumped off. He tossed the dying sand shinobi over his shoulder and left for the Hokage's office. Time skip day of the exams. "That damn kid," Hayate said, as late as his sensei. "The rest of you please leave. If you are to start in the first match, stay in the arena." After the rest of the contestants left, Naruto just suddenly appeared. They all just blinked. They didn't see him move. The first match of the Chunin exams, Niji Hyuga vs Naruto Uzumaki, begin. Naruto ran through hand signs, hidden mist jutsu. Naruto weaved through hand signs, water-style water bullets. Niji dodged the bullets. "This is useless, my eye sees through it all." "Your eyes can't see through time," a voice said behind him. "The mist was to make sure the people in the stands couldn't see my moves." After dispelling the chakra required to hold the mist, everyone was shocked how fast the match ended. "Niji, you know a bird may be trapped, but it has its own choice if it wants to stay trapped. If a bird tries hard enough it will open the cage and spread its wings." Niji widened his eyes as Naruto chopped him in the back of the neck. The rest of the fights went the same. After dispelling the genjutsu over him he started to kill the shinobi around him. Kakashi appeared next to him. "Go after Gaara, he will try to release the Baijuyu inside of him." Naruto quickly dashed off. When chasing them, Baki jumped in front of him. Round 2 I guess. He did a downward slash as Baki caught it with 2 kunaus. What he didn't realize is that Naruto was holding the sword with one arm. With his other one he unsheathed the Thunder God sword and sliced his stomach. He dashed past him and had to stop by Damari. He decided he didn't care to hide his stand at this point. When he jumped at her to clash fists she prepared, but what she didn't expect was to feel fists crushing the bones in her body. Each punch felt like steel. It broke her forearms as well as started to crush her face. He left her bleeding and dashed forward. Once more another one stopped. He clicked his tongue in anger. He sped through hand signs and roared, "Fire style fire dragon missile." He shot a speeding flame towards him. He dashed to the side but widened his eyes at the massive blade there. He ducked but Naruto slammed a heel kick on his head, knocking him out. He grabbed his blade, but what he didn't expect was that Gaara was so close. A sand arm shot forward and slammed him to a tree. He cussed as everything started to get dizzy. He got pulled back and sent forward, slammed through trees. He started to see black spots. Is this how it's going to end? He could barely make out what appeared in front of him. A giant plume of smoke appeared. Stronger, just like that day. Sand started to cover his legs, and a voice whispered. The sand started to crawl up and reach his waist. "Wake up," the voice said once more. The sand reached his neck. "Wake up," the voice shouted. The sand covered his head. It was as if it was in slow motion, then the sand covered the last bit of light. Then he saw it. He saw her, a beautiful redhead with glasses and a red pupil. She was crying. "Wake up," she screamed at him. The battlefield went silent at seeing another Baijuyu appear. The sand and sound of shinobi started cheering. Not even a minute later, a beam of pure power shot through the sky. The clouds parted. Even the reanimated Hokage stopped fighting. Everyone was looking at where the monstrous chakra was. When the beam of power died down, they all felt it. An overwhelming presence washed over the village. Suddenly a beam shot through the Shukaku's head. The body quickly fell apart. Naruto jumped on top of the wall of Konoha and roared. The village shook at the power he was releasing. With a version 2 Jinchuriki looking down on the battlefield, six tails waving menacingly, all of the foreign shinobi lost hope. Just the power emanating off of him made them give up. Naruto charged another Biju bomb. He swallowed it and his stomach bulged. He turned his head toward the three-tail Hydra. In a blinding speed, a beam shot through the sky, taking off all of its heads at once. It disappeared as the shinobi started to cheer. The foreign shinobi dropped their weapons and fell on their knees. The Konoha shinobi quickly detained them. Naruto once more charged a Biju bomb. He swallowed it as his stomach bulged. He turned his head to a building they were all familiar with. The academy. Iruka was shouting at the kids to get in. Unfortunately, there were too many trying to get in at once. There were two platoons of sand and sound shinobi outside. "Just give up and we'll give you a quick death." It felt as if everything went in slow motion. The Kano Amuro Corps was also outside as their eyes widened in fear. The shinobi started charging at them with blades drawn. In the blink of an eye, a beam shot down, erasing them from existence. It was as if they were never there. Iruka sighed in relief, but before he could say anything thankful, a six-tailed demon jumped in front of him. Iruka paled at the pressure he felt. Naruto shot a tail at him. "Is this how I die?" Iruka thought. The tail shot right next to his head, just over his shoulder. He tilted his head as he saw a sand shinobi with his head pierced by the tail. The kunao it had pulled out to stab him with fell on the ground. Naruto jumped to the roof of the Hokage tower. He charged another Biju bomb. This one was larger than the others. The rest of them had been half-powered. Naruto charged up a dark purple ball. Once ready, he started to condense it, cracking the floor around him each time he did. It had turned into the size of a dumpling. Another creator was formed by the pressure. Lines started appearing on the side of Naruto's face. His jaw unhinged as his mouth opened wide. After swallowing it, he gained immense size. It slowly started to travel back up his body. His neck bulged. Then his cheeks. Silence reigned through the village. Orochimaru, a demonic voice, said. Everyone turned their attention from Naruto to the top of the stadium. The Umbu quickly left. Steam started emitting off of Naruto's mouth. He turned his head up, trying to control the power. He snapped it down quickly and shot a beam of pure and uncontrollable power at the barrier. After landing on it, the beam exploded as a wave of power shot through it, shaking the arena. Inside the barrier, Orochimaru started muttering curses under his breath. The chakra was eating away at the barrier at an incredible speed. The barrier wasn't the only thing it had hit. Part of the Konoha wall that once stood proud had been disintegrated. Even then, that was not enough. It had shot far through Konoha's forest with a massive diameter. Orochimaru paled when he saw the destruction, just the thought of what could have happened if there was no barrier. Naruto jumped down and used two tails to hit the first Hokage away. Naruto jumped at the second and started to battle him. Orochimaru cursed Naruto for failing his plans. Here is a farewell gift, sensei. He flicked his fingers as his blade pierced his back. He shouted in pain. Naruto dashed in front of Orochimaru, and what he failed to notice was that there were only 4 tails swinging behind him. 2 chakra tails burst from the ground, stabbing both of his arms and injecting him with Kyuubi's chakra. While he was held in place, Naruto had his fist back as he sent it forward, sending Orochimaru flying. Naruto started to charge another Baijuya bomb, but Jiraiya appeared behind him and placed a suppression seal. You've saved enough lives today, kid. Naruto fell backwards as Jiraiya caught him. Naruto slowly blinked as he looked around. His room had been filled with gifts. It had been blurry, but he waited for his eyes to adjust. He heard crunching though. Of course it's you. He rested his head back on the pillow. Do me a favor, Jiraiya, and stop eating my get well gifts. You know kid, you're seen as a hero. It seemed everyone was watching you battle Abijuyu as well as scare Orochimaru away. How hypocritical, he muttered. Jiraiya ignored him. How is the old man? Terrible, he had been poisoned actually, and there is only one person who can save her. Who? My teammate Tsunade. When will we leave soon? They also want her to be the Hokage. I refuse. Sorry kid, but you don't really have a say in the matter. If that is so, then I feel like disappearing once more. He raised an eyebrow. You're going to get this upset over a new Hokage? How does someone save a whole village then gets the privilege to decide who should lead it get denied? Let's just find your teammate so the old man can get healed. There will be no other Hokage until I'm ready. He raised an eyebrow at the reaction but shrugged. Get your bags ready, we are leaving as soon as possible. Hey Naruto, why don't we stop here for the day to get some more information? You stay in this town, I'll be in the next. After going to the next town on his own, Naruto sensed Tsunade. He followed her chakra and ended up at a casino. Tsunade tilted her head outside the winning. Tsunade-sama, is something wrong? Shizoan, this is my 4th jackpot, get our winnings, we're leaving. Wait Tsunade-sama, she didn't listen, she just left. The moment Tsunade left, Shizoan saw a figure in a black cloak, then everything went black. Looks like we meet again Tsunade, a voice hissed. What do you want Orochimaru? He raised his 2 hands which were slowly blackening and spreading. What is that, she asked curiously. He frowned. I was fighting the 9 Tails Jinchuriki, gave me this to remember. Good, you deserved a smacking after all. Orochimaru's frown deepened. If you help me with this, I can give you your 2 loved ones, Dan and Nawake, the same way they were the day they died. She had a shocked look. Bring her here. Walking next to him was Kabuto with a bowed Shizoan. She had tears coming out as she had her mouth taped, a chakra suppression seal over her forehead, and arms and legs tied. Tsunade's eyes widened. Why are you doing this Orochimaru? You have 1 week to decide. Jiraiya jumped beside Tsunade. You have fallen to even lower heights Orochimaru, he said with a sneer. I hope Sensei enjoys the farewell gift I gave him. Someone crash-landed next to Jiraiya. A creator was formed, and I hope you enjoy my gift. Orochimaru sneered at the person. Naruto, he hissed, if any of you get any closer she will die, Kabuto said. Come alone Tsunade, or she dies. After Orochimaru left, Jiraiya started talking. It's okay Tsunade, me and Naru, Senju Tsunade, by the order of the current council you are to return to the village and heal the injured shinobi. Tsunade had nothing else to say, she fell on her knees and wept. Pathetic, Naruto said. To think of one of the Sunin ninjas who were able to fight on par against cages. Turned into a weeping mess. Enough Naruto, shut up Jiraiya, you're not much better than her, all 3 of you are failures, even your title was handed from being a failure. To think you wear the title Sanin so proudly, a title you gained from losing a fight. Pathetic. When I become Hokage I won't have failures like you boasting around to be some strong. The village I will create will stand above all, the way it was meant to be. Jiraiya put a hand on Naruto's shoulder, but he aimed a punch at Jiraiya's face. He caught it, but another fist, one that he could never see, was sent straight at him. He got sent flying into a building as his nose had broke, blood was coming out. To think you were one of the candidates for the 5th Hokage spot, if you were to side with that traitor it would be better to kill you now. Naruto pulled out the Kubikuri Basho. Enough Naruto, Jiraiya shouted. He held the blade against her neck. Tsunade Senju, the granddaughter of the 1st, grandniece of the 2nd, pupil of the 3rd. To think you could have fallen so low. She wiped her tears. What would you know, I gave up everything for this village, my lover, my brother, even my clan is gone. I would never want to be Hokage for that village. Especially when I had to give everything up. What would you know about that? Naruto rolled his eyes. He sheathed his sword. I wonder what I would know about giving up my life for the village. Let's see. Well, my parents sealed the most powerful entity in my stomach the day I was born. Both of my parents died when I was born too. I was hated and tormented by the village that loved my parents. Let's see. No one except the old man would look at me unless it was filled with disdain. My clan died before I knew them too, if that counts. What happened to you was due to war. People die, that is part of the job. The moment you put that headband on you acknowledge that fact. Even if by some chance I would come back to the village, I wouldn't do it without Shizoan. Would you come back if I get you Shizoan? How would you, a genin, bring her back from Orochimaru? It is a yes or no question. Will you come back if I get her back? She nodded. We are leaving Jiraiya. What are you talking about, kid? She said. If we get her. Follow me, he simply said. After walking into a hotel, he opened the door and walked in. Tsunade widened her eyes at what she saw. She quickly ran to Shizoan and cried, how did you get her, Jiraiya? Because I was actually searching for Tsunade instead of going to bars and clubs. Who would have guessed I did something productive? Jiraiya looked away. How did you get her, she asked. Do you remember at the casino when you turned your head sensing someone? She nodded. I knew that there was someone else. I am able to suppress my chakra on the levels of an Umbu. After knowing there was someone else, I figured it would be Orochimaru due to my gift. I just decided to take her before they could. Then who do they have, she asked. An exploding clone. Back with Orochimaru, they were barely outside of the village when they turned to Shizoan. Maybe I can use you for some test, Shizoan-chan. He licked his lips, but when he saw no more fear in her eyes, he raised an eyebrow. The Shizoan turned into Naruto and started glowing white. Run Kabuya, but he couldn't finish it. Suddenly an explosion shook the ground. Back with Naruto, they felt a rumble going around them. I guess the clone left, he said. Anyway, we are going back to the village. Anytime we waste here, the old man has less of a chance of living. Naruto, why shouldn't she be Hokage? Because the old man promised to hold the seat until I am ready. He clenched his fists. I just need a couple more years and then I will have the strength. Are you sure you could be Hokage, she asked. I'm a better option than a dusty old lady who hasn't fought in over a decade. She had a bulge growing out her head. She turned her head to Jiraiya, who quickly stopped chuckling. Want to take this outside? I have no more time for your games. He picked up Shizoan, who was surprised, and picked up Tun Tun and tossed her to Jiraiya. We are leaving now, stubborn brat, he muttered. He opened the window and jumped high in the air. Kuki Yos no Jutsu, he shouted. In a giant plum of smoke, the boss toad Gamabunta was there. He looked up and saw Naruto. What do you want, brat? I need to go back to Konoha. Jiraiya jumped next to him. We need to go there pronto, Bunta. Humph, why do you summon me for such meaningless labor? Bunta, you complained when the fourth summoned you to fight a Biju. Now you complain to travel normally. Do you even like getting summoned? He grunted. Fine, let's go. Naruto set down Shizoan. Are you coming or not, Tsunade? I haven't heard that name in a while, Bunta said. He looked down and saw her. She shook her head and smiled. Let's go. She jumped on his head and rode back to the village. On their way they ran across Sasuke. Wait here for a second, Gamabunta. Naruto jumped down. What are you doing here, Sasuke? I am after my brother. I heard he is after you. Did anyone give you permission to leave? No, but, Sasuke, what would you do if your brother attacked you? I would kill him, he simply said. Naruto shook his head. At your age he was a captain at Umbu. He was already on Kakashi's level. If you cannot defeat Kakashi, you cannot defeat your brother. Then what am I doing wasting my time in this village, he shouted. Tell me something, Sasuke. Do you think your brother can defeat the first Hokage, the second, or third, or the fourth? In their prime each of them stood at the top of the world. Do you wonder why? It's because of the village. Even your brother gained his strength in the village. If you were to leave you would be no different than him. Sasuke's eyes widened at the last statement. Jump on, he said. He followed him on top of the toad but didn't say anything the rest of the way. After arriving in the village they were going to the hospital, to report to the council. Jiraiya, who do you think you are ordering me, brat? I'm practicing, he simply said. He grew a tick mark. You know I could become Hokage right now or order you, would you? He simply said, or would that take up part of your peeping time? He ignored him and left. Sasuke, I will talk to you later. I'll meet with you at your house. He nodded, and Naruto and Tsunade went to the hospital. When they went there they saw Konohamaru sitting down with a sorrowful look. Naruto ruffled his head. Don't worry, kid, I got someone that can make him better. He looked up at Joy. Boss, he shouted. He jumped on Naruto's waist. He simply patted his back. Alright, that's enough. We are going to make him normal again. He let out a beaming smile. Tsunade had a soft smile looking at the scene. It looks like the kid has a soft spot for some people. After walking in, they saw two people with a white mask running towards the Hokage with a knife. Faster than the others reacted, Naruto didn't have time to think about it. He activated his stand and he sliced off one of their heads, then for the other man he had its legs sliced off. After watching him bleed, he slowly walked to him. He walked on his back and pulled his arms back. Luckily the door was closed so Konohamaru didn't have to see this. "Who are you working for?" he said. After refusing to answer, he pulled back one of the arms. "Answer me." Once more the man ignored him. He pulled back the other arm as he shouted in pain. In a quick motion he cut off the left arm at the shoulder. "Answer," he shouted. Jiraiya's body flickered to the hospital, sensing how distressed Tsunade's chakra was. He widened his eyes at the scene, a man with his legs severed, as well as his left arm. He saw Naruto on his back slowly pulling the dislocated right arm. "Naruto, what are you doing?" he shouted. "Executing a traitor." He finally noticed the mask and widened his eyes. He saw the kunai next to the detached arm. "Naruto, he won't talk. He works for a disbanded organization." "I see." He stomped his neck as everyone heard a crunch. He turned towards Tsunade and saw her shivering. "Why is she like this?" "It is because she has hemophobia, a medic scared of blood?" "That is laughable. It is from the trauma of war. Why did we waste our time with her? I get more and more disappointed every time I'm with her." "Naruto, stop bashing her. What is the point of bringing her here? We should have left her with Orochimaru. She won't heal the Hokage at this state. Another failure to add to her list, I guess." "Stop, Naruto," Jiraiya shouted. "Tsunade," Naruto asked. She stared at him with a quaky look. "What would you do if Orochimaru flashed blood, but he had Shizune at the end of a kunai? What would you do if repeatedly stabbed her in front of you? Would you simply stay there and let him do as he wished, or would you step in? It is time for you to show us why you are called Tsunade of the Senju clan, the women who surpassed all others in strength and resolve." Her eyes hardened as she stood up. She walked over to Hiruzen and started the surgery. After leaving the room, Jiraiya and Naruto saw a passed out Konohamaru. Naruto tossed him over his shoulders. "You know, brat, you have a way of words, but sometimes you should start with the motivational part instead of the bashing." He shrugged. "Whatever gets the job done." While walking to the Sarutobi compound, Jiraiya explained the idea of them going on a training trip, and what route was. "I see, so they work for Danzo, Hiruzen's rival. But he is willing to kill Hiruzen for the seat?" "Yes, and this even isn't the first attempt." "What happened after the first one? Sensei let him get away with it." He shook his head. "He is too soft." After dropping off Konohamaru, they went their separate ways. "I guess it's too late to train with Sasuke," but after jumping near the Uchiha compound he sensed 4 chakra signatures. He saw as they were all fighting Sasuke, but the moment they transformed he stood no chance. "This is the power you can get if you come with us, Sasuke. Call yourself lucky. Lord Orochimaru will do this for you." She looked down as she saw a fist through her shirt. "Impossible," she muttered. After pulling his fist back he saw Sasuke. "Stand tall, Sasuke. You are an Uchiha elite after all, right?" He spat out some blood. "Took you long enough. I had some things to do." Naruto jumped towards Jirobo and swung the Kyubikurei Basho. He turned his hands to stone fists to block it. He tilted his head to check if Sasuke was watching. "Good," he muttered when he saw he wasn't. He uses his stand to slice off his head. "Now that leaves this freak for me." "You know 2 on 1 isn't very fair," he said. He jumped in and kicked Kidomaru in the head. They were both flying through the trees around them. They both jumped back on their feet. Naruto threw the Kyubikurei Basho. Kidomaru created webs, but the blade sliced through it with ease. After jump up he widened as he saw Naruto in the air with the Thunder God blade. In a single slice the arms from his left side were gone. "Damn you!" he shouted. The commotion started to gather the attention of the Umbu. Suddenly the arms from the right side of his body fell too. "Impossible," he whispered. He looked around and saw Naruto behind him. "How is this possible?" He looked down and saw nothing, but he could feel it all too well. An arm plunged right through his stomach. He was left there bleeding on the floor. Naruto tossed an explosion tag in the air and let it detonate. After a couple of seconds a squad of Umbu came. "If you can give him some medical attention you can do an interrogation. He is Orochimaru's personal bodyguards." They nodded and took him away. After going back to Sasuke he decided to watch the rest. One of them had already been killed but the other one was alive. "What are you freaks? Does it matter?" As long as Orochimaru-sama gives us strength, who cares, and why not come along? After all, I'm sure your friend is long dead by now. Am I? Naruto said, do not think such weaklings could ever kill me. What? Impossible. He turned his head towards Naruto, but that would be his last mistake. Sasuke ran a chidori through his head, ending his life. The sound four were no more. The next day Naruto went back to Sasuke's house to tell him about an idea of his. So you are saying Jiraiya wants to take you out of the village for 3 years because of the Akatsuki? Yes, but I want you to go with Kakashi for 1 year, then we will meet up and train on our own. Why not just train with our senseis for the full time? Because they are both lousy teachers. Sasuke couldn't refute that. During the rest of the 2 years we will be wearing these to not draw attention. He pulled out 2 root masks. He nodded. Before leaving the village, Naruto turned around and raised an eyebrow at the people waving him off. There were quite a lot of civilians. He saw Konohamaru with tears coming out and with a bright smile. Hiruzen was wrapped in bandages and with a cane. Tsunade had a smirk too. He let out a small wave, and turned around. For Sasuke there was the rest of Konoha 12, and some fangirls. They turned around, but before Naruto and Sasuke went their separate ways he handed him a slip of paper. It had the location of where to meet in a white mask and cloak. They nodded and left. Time skip 1 year. Kakashi knew of the plan but not Jiraiya, so after Jiraiya said to practice chakra control for what seemed to be the 100th time, he decided to leave. He chopped him on the back of the neck with his stand and ran. He quickly tossed on the disguise with practiced ease. He continued to dash past the Konoha borders into a forest in the hidden mist. It was along the borders here where there was a gap in the patrol. For the remaining time he would practice his Fuinjutsu. He put it away after a couple of seconds. You can come out. Seems you didn't get rusty. He smirked, it took you long enough. Naruto got up. But he had his guard down, and that would be his greatest mistake. A blade ran through his chest from his back. Blood was leaking out of his mouth. Who are you? He turned his head and saw a figure with an orange mask. This is the end of Uzumaki, Naruto, I can't let you get more powerful. Everything started to get blurry. He could make out the man getting sucked into something. As he was falling down he saw someone with a white mask coming to him. Naruto could only think of one thing. Who is Naruto? I am Diavolo. Then everything went black. Naruto opened his eyes as he saw a figure standing in his mind. There was no cell for the Kyuubi, so he assumed it was another section. Who are you? I am the previous user of the power you have. I am Diavolo. He stuck out his arm, allowing me to grant you the full power of this stand. Stand. Yes, that is what it is called. It is a physical manifestation of your soul. I see. But what allowed me to use it to its full power is my hate. You do not have much hate anymore, child. It has been diminishing more and more. Have you forgotten your goal? You did not want to be the top of one measly village, you wanted to be on top of the world. Do not forget about those who gave you scornful looks. Who would turn a blind eye to you getting beaten at night? And even those who sold you poisoned fruit, to be able to kill the demon they all said, right? Naruto turned around. He was a little boy once more. He saw the villagers glaring at him. They started to turn black, their eyes grew red, they started to loom over him. A hand touched his shoulder. They are the true demons, right? He turned and saw Diavolo. Now shake my hand and accept the true power of King Crimson. Allow its true power to come out. Naruto shook his hand. Diavolo turned into a black smoke and went inside of his body. He did not get his memories. No, he had gotten something far worse. Hate, all of his hate. Hate for his drug empire falling apart. Hate for Jirano taking the stand arrow. And the hate he held for the infinite deaths. With each death the hate grew more and more, festering up to be released. The little warmth Naruto's eyes held was now gone. Naruto woke up as a menacing aura filled the room he was in. He looked to see who was around him. It was Sasuke in a cave. His red eyes peered into him. No, it was not Sasuke. It was someone else. Who are you? I am Uchiha Itachi. Why did you take me here? Well, I thought you would have died. I saw you get dealt with a dangerous blow to the chest. An acquaintance hit you in a dangerous spot, Me and my partner are to take you back and extract the Kyuubi. I will kill your partner as a warning for your foolishness. Sasuke will kill you another time. Itachi had a hidden smile. Itachi, I'm back, said a scaly blue man. Itachi raised an eyebrow at Naruto. He had a chakra seal on him, but it was something strange. Naruto kept scratching his face. It was as if he was failing to control something. Then the dam broke. The whole room was filled with killing intent. This is just like back then, Itachi thought. No, it might actually be worse. Finally Naruto sat up and let out a sigh of relief. He cracked his neck and got up. They couldn't perceive what happened, as in their eyes time went by normal. But in Naruto's everything was different. The ground and walls broke away to being pitch black with stars. He saw Itachi still sitting down, but for Kisame he could see him taking steps forward and unsheathing his blade. He saw red shadows in front of him, and each step he took he fell in an exact line to those shadows. Naruto has been here before. Many times actually. He has known this ability as time erasure. The only difference was he could see double the length than before. If he could give a rough estimate, he would say he could only see around 5 seconds into the future. Even that would put a strain on him. But now he held this ability as if it had been practiced hundreds of times. Once more he activated his stand. When Kisame took the final step, everything broke away. It happened in the blink of an eye. Not even Itachi with his Sharingan could see what was happening. Naruto used King Crimson and had its hands moving in a clapping motion with Kisame's head in between. In Itachi's view, Naruto had been sitting down and Kisame took off his blade to swing it, then the next faster than anything he could perceive. Naruto was behind Kisame and his head had been crushed. As flat as a pancake. Naruto took Kisame's blade and it did not resist. It was squirming in fear at the killing intent he was letting loose. Naruto sealed the blade on his bicep and left. He went back to the meeting place and saw Sasuke waiting. What kept you up? I was with your brother. His eyes widened. Where is he? It does not matter. You are not strong enough to deal with him either way. He grit his teeth but didn't refute the claim. Time skips 1 year later. Naruto and Sasuke were both 15. Now we are going to see Orochimaru. Why? He wouldn't be much of a challenge for us. Yes, that is why we won't be fighting him, you will, Sasuke. When I was with Itachi last year I felt his power. He could defeat Orochimaru with a single move if he wished. Sasuke narrowed his eyes at that. I'm sure you've mastered your Sharingan enough. It has been in its 3-tomo stage for quite some time now. And you've practiced many genjutsu on me, Sasuke smirked at the last part. I will get rid of his lackeys, you get the big fish? Is there a plan to sneak in? Yes, but I will handle that. This past year Sasuke has been with Naruto. He noticed something. It was as if he had gotten more ruthless. He hardly smiled anymore. But it would make sense from what he has heard. He was told he forgot the reason he was fighting so hard. He told him of when he was 11 there was a red-haired girl caring for him as he had been heavily poisoned. She let him bite his arm as chakra came out and slowly healed him. But the one who poisoned him came back and finished her off. It was a red-haired boy and he used chakra strings to control a big puppet with a tail. The tail stabbed right through her, right in front of him. He was helpless, just as Sasuke was during the day of the massacre. After collecting their thoughts they left. Naruto had a cloak come over his body. 1 tail came out, then 2, then 3, then 4, then 5, then at the 6th tail coming out a beam shot through the sky as Naruto's skin darkened. It was almost black. His eyes turned into a milky white. With the 7th tail coming out a skeleton figure came over his body. Then Sasuke remembered the rest of the story Naruto told him. The red-haired boy wasn't alone. Standing next to him giving me a smile was Orochimaru. Then the cloak had finished. Naruto charged a massive ball of chakra. He condensed it, a huge crater formed around him. Sasuke's eyes widened at the amount of chakra used. He quickly jumped far back. Naruto condensed it more, and more, and more. There had been a massive crater now. The ball was the same size as a ping-pong ball. Lines started cracking on the side of Naruto's face until his ears. His jaw opened wider than humanly possible. Once Naruto swallowed it, he immediately blew up in size. Sasuke would have laughed if he didn't feel like he was choking on the chakra Naruto was emitting. Naruto's cheeks bulged as the chakra just wished to break out. His stomach kept growing and pushing back inside. The chakra just wished to be let out as its neck kept getting thicker. Naruto's mouth cracked open as steam started to come out of it. Letting it all out at once, a beam shot out of his mouth. Once it touched the walls of Rice Country, the width of the beams grew to cover the whole village. For reference, it's half the size of Konoha. The grounds of sound were shaking uncontrollably. Sasuke couldn't even see the village anymore. Naruto's attack was too wide, it covered the whole thing. Even Fire Country, the rumbling going on. In Konoha, their grounds were shaking slightly too. Naruto held the attack and pushed more chakra. A voice in his head said, "More." It demanded more to be pushed out. Naruto held the attack for a couple more seconds before the chakra fell off of his body and he stood back up. Sasuke's eyes were widened. In fear or admiration, he didn't really care to know. The village once known as the Hidden Sound was no more. Everything was gone, erased as if it was never there. What lay there was just dirt. Behind the village was a destroyed forest which showed the depth of the attack. Naruto, how have you done this? This is part of the power of the Kyuubi. The other Byakuya wouldn't have such a potent attack without going full power. Sasuke's eyes widened at this information. This is the power Naruto holds inside, he thought. How am I supposed to fight Orochimaru if you wiped out his village? Calm down, Sasuke, I had sensed him underground. Bursting from out of the forest were Orochimaru, Kabuto, and Kimimaro. Damn you, Naruto, do you think you will get away with this? I will kill you just as that girl had died. I will make you just as helpless as you were. Naruto was getting ready to jump forward, but Sasuke caught his wrist. This is my fight. He pulled his arm back. Make it fast.